What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome into the Bulls Report. I am your host, Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, I wanted to dive into a wild Lonzo Ball trade report, which is suggesting that the Bulls turned down a first-round pick at the NBA trade deadline for this guy right here, Lonzo Ball. So we'll give you guys my thoughts on that. And then later on today's show, I do want to recap the Bulls-Pistons game from last night where, hey, credit to the Bulls. You didn't lose by 40, but you lost by 18 points last night at home to your division rival, the Detroit Pistons. And then also, we are going to land the Bulls, the number one pick in the NBA draft. We'll hop on tankathon, spin that machine as many times as it takes to land the Bulls Cooper Flagg. But before we do so, we are only 3 subscribers away from 11,000 subs here on YouTube. So if you guys want to join the Bulls Report family and help support the show, go down there, hit that subscribe button, lock us in. Do not miss a thing around your Chicago Bulls. All right, so it was John Hollinger who broke the news that apparently the Bulls turned down a first-round pick for Lonzo Ball, and this is what he had to say. Sources: the Bulls had a firm offer to get a first-round pick and take on future money for Lonzo, and they extended him instead. Good news, though, 12 of the Bulls players are signed for next season. They can just re-sign Giddey, run it back, and chase the plane again. Yay, question mark. John, I did not appreciate the second half of that report right there, pretty much clowning on the Bulls, but it is a joke. Like, the Bulls are, if it's not for the Dallas Mavericks, the Bulls would be the most clowned on team in all of sports right now because, again, they are chasing purgatory year after year after year. They are in no position to, compete for championships, and they still, refuse to fully be sellers at an NBA trade deadline and give themselves a better chance to lock down one of the top picks in the draft. But in terms of who could have been the team that offered a first for Lonzo Ball, I think it could have been the Miami Heat. I was talking to the Heat report host here, Nick Roloff. He suggested that he thinks it could have been the Miami Heat, and it would have been just the Bulls being the sixth team in that Jimmy Butler trade, where instead of the Warriors sending that top 10 protected first-round pick to Miami, the Bulls would just send Lonzo to Miami, and then the Bulls would actually be getting back Terry Rozier and that Warriors top 10 protected first round pick, which could have been the 14th or 15th pick in this year's draft. So if that was on the table, I would have 100% been considering it if I was the Bulls front office. But I do want to go back to what Evan Cedery tweeted out before the NBA trade deadline. He said the Clippers, Heat, Hornets, Lakers, Magic, Pistons, and Timberwolves had all held exploratory trade talks with the Bulls centered around Lonzo Ball. So clearly there was interest in Lonzo Ball, and then obviously the Bulls decided to give him that 2-year, $20 million extension. But if I had to guess, it would probably be the Miami Heat, a part of a 6-team trade that would send Lonzo to Miami. And, Lonzo hasn't shot the ball well from the field so far this season, shooting 36.2% from the field and only 34% from downtown. But still want to watch Lonzo play. He makes the right reads. He just plays winning basketball. And to just think it's him getting his legs back underneath him as a big reason why he isn't shooting the ball as well as he was back when he was the 2021 season when he was the starting point guard and the Bulls were at the top of the Eastern Conference. Lonzo was shooting 42+% from 3 that season. But I will say, I know everybody's going to panic, be like, oh, the Bulls should have got a first-round pick for Lonzo Ball. I hear you. I want more draft capital, obviously, to help spark this rebuild here in Chicago. But let's just say, hypothetically, Lonzo gets to, 90% or even just 80% of his old self. I think the 2-year, $20 million extension will be a steal. I mean, $10 million for a guy who could be your 7th or 8th guy in your rotation, I think is a good deal. And plus, still love the way Lonzo Ball plays the game. I just think in the second half of the year, or for the remaining 30 games of the season, we just got to look at, how can he kind of get his feet back under himself, improve that field goal percentage, start knocking down, shots at a higher clip. But still, when he's out there on the basketball court, even when he's not hitting shots, I still feel his impact out there for the Chicago Bulls. But I'll ask you guys this. Sound off for me. Would you have traded Lonzo Ball for a first-round pick? Give me a T for trade or give me a P for pass. Take the hypothetical that it would be the Warriors' first-round pick next season, top 10 protected. Would you guys do it? Give me a T for trade or a P for pass. Now we'll talk about the Bulls-Pistons game from last night in a second. But first off, got to tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. Now, if you guys download the Prize Picks app today and plug in that promo code, CLNS, you guys will get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today, plug in that promo code, CLNS, get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Now, what is Prize Picks? Well, it's the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. And if you guys are trying to make a Blackhawks or a Bulls game a lot more interesting since both of those teams are damn near in last place in each of their leagues. But if you guys want to make those games a little more interesting, add a little more juice, just increase your viewing experience, creating a Prize Picks lineup is the number one way to do so. So make sure you guys download the Prize Picks app today. Plug in that promo code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today. Plug in that promo code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. A massive shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Prize Picks, run your game. Got to clap it up for the Bulls. Last night, you only lost by 18 points to the Detroit Pistons at home following a 40-point blowout the night before. Still, I honestly, when I was watching this game in the first quarter, the Pistons came out, hit their first couple of shots. It was a 6-0 game very quick. I thought the Pistons were about to do it again to the Bulls and possibly beat them 71-29 yet again in the first half. But you had a couple of guys step up, specifically Ayo Dosunmu. I thought he played a pretty solid game yesterday. Couldn't hit any shots from beyond the arc, but I still love Ayo in transition. He's actually turned himself into a pretty underrated playmaker. But yesterday, even going 0 for 5 from downtown, still 23 points, 6 rebounds, and he was 9 of 16 from the field. I still think if I had to choose the two untouchables and the two young guys I want to build around on this Bulls team, it's Ayo Dosunmu and also the next guy, Modest Buzelis. Now, he wasn't hitting the three last night. Similar to Ayo, he was 1 of 7, but he was 5 of 12 from the field, had 11 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, and actually this marks 9 games in a row for Modest, getting in double digits in the scoring department. So great to see, that just that uptick in his game over the last couple of weeks, and this was just coming from him just getting more minutes. That's why I was so frustrated with Billy Donovan not playing him more early on in the season. They still were playing, Patrick Williams, Dalen Terry, Julian Phillips over Modest Buzelis. But we're really starting to see the development because he's getting more shots. He's, obviously just getting more minutes per game, and we're really seeing some strides in his game over the last couple of weeks. But our good old friend Nikola Vucevic had his good offensive game yesterday. He was still a disaster defensively. He was getting picked on over and over again in the pick and roll. Once he gets flying around in rotation, I think he is the worst just lateral speed in the NBA. He cannot recover whatsoever. But, hey, the stats look good. You see the 21 points, 14 rebounds. You're probably saying Vooch had a good night. But still, out there on the basketball court, still a net negative. And a guy who has had a terrible last 2 games, Kobe White. Kobe was awful yet again yesterday. He was 2 of 14 from the field, only had 7 points, 2 of 9 from downtown. And the night before, Kobe was 2 for 13. So he is 4 of 27 in his last 2 games against the freaking Detroit Pistons. And if the reports are true that the Orlando Magic were trying to call and trade for Kobe White and the Bulls said no, you should have done it. I think Ayo is, if you had to pick one of these guards to pair up with Josh Giddey, I would have much rather have them go Ayo for the future over Kobe White. But speaking about Giddey, wasn't really in his playmaking bag too much last night. He is shooting the 3 a whole lot better over the last 10 games, but he was 3 of 4 from downtown. He also had 17 points total, but over the last 10 games for Josh Giddey, he's actually shooting the 3-point ball at 39.6%. But more on Patrick Williams here. He did leave the game with an injury yesterday. Apparently he avoided major injury where he's not going to be ruled out for the rest of the season, so that's good news for him. But still, when you feel him out there on the basketball court, you actually just don't feel him at all. He is still just passive P, the nickname that Bulls fans have given him. I mean, that is just the definition of who he is as a basketball player. But let's dive into the fun part of today's show. We're going to spin the tankathon wheel as many times as it takes to get Cooper Flagg. The Bulls right now are selecting 8th if there was no lottery and that just ended today. So, producer Dylan, I say we spin this thing. Let's see how we do. Spin number 1. And the Bulls actually drop a spot, so they go pick number 9. It says they got Jeremiah Fears, point guard from Oklahoma. So we got to spin this again. We could be here for the next hour. Who knows how long this is going to take. Cooper Flagg heading to Portland, not the Bulls. We got to spin it again. Dylan Harper, pick number 2. Hey, there we go. The 3rd spin. Not bad. I'll take it. But the Bulls obviously don't have a great chance landing Cooper Flagg right now. We just got to get lucky if we're really going to change this franchise. And landing a guy like Cooper Flagg, I mean, he is the definition of a franchise-changing and a franchise-altering player. So if you guys want the Bulls to land Cooper Flagg, just give me a me down below in the comment section. We appreciate you guys watching today's show. But pretty crazy that Lonzo Ball report came out there that the Bulls turned down a first-round pick for him. I'm not too upset about it. I can totally understand though why people would be upset about the Bulls, turning that down. And also, friendly reminder: hit that subscribe button. We're 3 subscribers away from 11,000 subs. So subscribe to the channel today. We'll see you guys next time. Go Bulls!